What is going on, gentlemen? I'm sweating my balls off. Yeah, go check me out at Mikey Balls Fishing. I'm not always sweaty like this, but I'm with my homie brother McQueen. Dude, it's hot, it's summer. You were telling me the other day about a day you went out fishing some offshore stuff in Florida, ironically, but with your buddy Kale, you caught some bigs on not a very big bait. And I feel like I'm a little responsible for this because I kind of always hype the Ned, but show me what your setup is on this guy.
We got just a weedless Power Ned. And I take a Gambler Fat Ace. This is in the Magic Crawl color, and I cut it in half and thread it on there like a normal bait.
I feel like I'm really familiar with that setup.
Yeah,
like,
you might know something.
I might have thrown it something.
Yeah, you might know something about it.
What's kind of interesting about this is I think there's a point in summer when it gets so hot, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Bradley, but like, we throw like 10-inch worms, the ribbon tail, 12-inch, 13. You throw the ER16. Yeah, but we put some big baits on it. But there's almost like a point in summer where you go small because they've seen so many baits, or it gets so hot that you get in those dog days. This thing is sort of a balance between the two. With that Fat Ace, it's like a stubby, kind of girthy little deal, but it's short. So it kind of removes some of that, I don't know, that apprehension the fish have, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed, I used to do this, but I don't do it as much anymore. You got this on a bait casting setup, and most guys will throw a Ned on a spinning setup. Why do you have it set up like that?
I like to throw it on 17-pound and a 7.3-foot rod, medium heavy. And you can honestly, work the bait a little better, instead of an average spinning rod, like most people. And
are you popping it like a little bit?
Yeah.
And I guess the one thing that we should say, the Power Ned's a little different than like a standard Ned. The brush guard on here is definitely a lot stouter. It's more like, I guess, with like a football jig or like, a brush style jig. So you can actually fish it through some pretty gnarly stuff. And then the hook is pretty stout. It's still, what would you call it, like a 2-aught or something? Yeah, like a 2-aught, maybe a 3-aught hook. It's a pretty small hook, but it's definitely stouter as well, and that's why you can put it with that 17-pound or, braid to like a 15-pound leader if you're running a spinning setup and not worry about bending it out. So your retrieves, I'm going to tell you what my retrieves are, but I want to hear what your retrieves are on it first.
Mine is just cast it out there towards the structure, around it at least, and then just drag it slowly. Sometimes I'll pop it and let it, just shimmer back down to the bottom, but they eat it pretty much every time on the drag. So let me ask you a question, because this is something kind of unique that I've compared between Guntersville and Florida. Do you drag with your rod pointed up, or do you drag sideways? I drag sideways.
Dude, all right, so this is something that is super duper interesting. One thing I've noticed in Florida is the sideways drag when you're offshore fishing plays so much better than the 90 drag, dude. And I know a lot of the old timers do the, the worm up and the slow drag. Maybe they're fishing slower, but I think there's something with that bottom contact and the bait not jumping. Some days they do want it popped off the bottom and hopping, but you get that continual bottom contact, and then if there's like a small little piece of brush or something, you're kind of crawling over it, it gets stuck, instead of just hopping right over it. Ironically though, up like Guntersville, up where I'm at, like in the southeast, they like it up, dude. They want you shaking it and moving it, and it's the exact opposite here, dude. Have you found that experience?
I haven't had to experience anything like that. I just stick to dragging it.
You just stick to dragging it slow, dude. Keep it simple. That's what works. One other little kind of cool feature, and I think it makes a huge difference, is since you're using a bigger bait on this jig has a screw lock. And so, if you're ripping it off a brush pile or something, you're not going to get the slippage, because nobody likes slippage, dude. That worm slides down, you got to put a new one on.
You put this worm on there and it's going to stay on there all day.
Until it gets really ugly, dude. It gets all chawed up and nasty. It's a great option. One other kind of cool thing that you can do, Bradley, and I probably shouldn't tell you this because you're going to go fish where I fish and try to catch them on it, but a sneaky way is to actually fish it like a Kitech. So what I'll do is I'll take it around that brush, around like some of those limestone and shell bars, and I'll cast it out there and I'll actually slow roll it. And what happens is with this little tail, and especially, it's funny, so the pointed tail I think is better down in Florida than the nub tail. The tail actually jiggles as you're reeling it, and it looks just like a Kitech style thing. And then you kind of tight line it, and that pendulum down, they absolutely crush it. You can go over a brush pile or something like that. But it's a sneaky kind of, I always like having baits that I can do multiple different things with. So you can drag it, fish super slow, but you can reel that thing. Don't be doing that on my lakes, bro.
I won't be doing it. Maybe.
Go check out Bradley on YouTube. What's your YouTube, homie?
Bradley McQueen Fishing, guys.
And try this Power Ned, dude, in the dead of summer in the dog days. Find you some structure, drag it through some gnarly stuff. Just make sure you're upgrading a little bit because you do have a stouter hook and that stouter brush guard.